For more than a century, one name has been associated with unimaginable wealth, political influence, and corporate power: the Rockefellers. At their peak, they controlled the largest oil empire in history, and their fortune was so enormous that, adjusted for inflation, John D. Rockefeller is widely considered the richest person in modern history. But the Rockefeller story isn't just about money. It's a story of monopolies, political influence, corporate warfare, and a family that helped shape the modern world. Because behind the image of philanthropy and prestige lies a darker story that transformed one man into the most powerful businessman on earth and changed America forever. This is the dark truth about the Rockefeller family, the birth of an empire. Long before the Rockefeller family became one of the wealthiest dynasties in history, John D. Rockefeller was just the son of a struggling family in New York. His father was a traveling salesman known for questionable business practices. His mother was deeply religious and taught him discipline, patience, and frugality. Those lessons would shape the rest of his life. From a young age, Rockefeller became obsessed with money. He carefully tracked every dollar he earned and spent. While other children played, Rockefeller studied numbers. He believed wealth wasn't created through luck, it was created through discipline. By his early 20s, he had already begun investing in businesses. But the opportunity that would change everything arrived in the 1860s. Oil. At the time, America was experiencing an oil boom. New oil fields were being discovered across the country. Fortunes were being made overnight. Most people rushed into drilling. Rockefeller took a different approach. Instead of drilling for oil, he focused on refining it. And that decision would make him one of the richest men in history. The rise of Standard Oil. In 1870, Rockefeller founded Standard Oil. At first, it was just another oil company, but Rockefeller wasn't interested in competing. He wanted control. He quickly realized that the real money wasn't in finding oil. It was in controlling every step of the industry: refining, transportation, distribution, sales. If Standard Oil controlled everything, competitors would have nowhere to go. And that's exactly what Rockefeller set out to achieve. He negotiated secret deals with railroads. He secured lower shipping costs than his competitors. While rival companies paid full price, Standard Oil paid far less. This gave Rockefeller an enormous advantage. His competitors couldn't keep up. Many were forced to sell. Others went bankrupt. Some were simply absorbed into Standard Oil. Year after year, Rockefeller expanded his empire. And by the 1880s, Standard Oil controlled roughly 90% of America's oil refining industry. 90%. Imagine a single company controlling almost an entire industry. Today, regulators would never allow it, but during the Gilded Age, Rockefeller was building something America had never seen before: a true monopoly. The dark side of success. To some people, Rockefeller was a genius. To others, he was a corporate predator. His business methods became legendary and controversial. Competitors accused Standard Oil of crushing rivals through unfair tactics. Small business owners claimed Rockefeller deliberately undercut prices until competitors collapsed. Once competition disappeared, prices could rise again. Critics argued that Standard Oil wasn't winning because it was better. It was winning because it was eliminating anyone who stood in its way. Journalists began investigating the company. One reporter in particular would become Rockefeller's worst nightmare. Her name was Ida Tarbell. Tarbell spent years researching Standard Oil. The result was a groundbreaking investigation that exposed many of the company's business practices. Her report shocked the public. For the first time, millions of Americans saw Rockefeller not as a brilliant businessman, but as the face of corporate greed. Public opinion began turning against Standard Oil, and soon the government stepped in. The fall of Standard Oil. By the early 1900s, America had changed. People were becoming increasingly concerned about monopolies. Politicians feared that giant corporations had become more powerful than the government itself. Standard Oil became the biggest target. In 1911, the United States Supreme Court ruled that Standard Oil violated antitrust laws. The company was ordered to break apart. After decades of expansion, Rockefeller's empire was officially dismantled, at least on paper. Because here's the twist: the breakup actually made Rockefeller even richer. Standard Oil was divided into dozens of smaller companies. Many of those companies eventually became some of the biggest corporations in the world: Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, Amoco, and several others. Rockefeller still owned large portions of these businesses. As their value increased, so did his fortune. The government had broken up his empire, but it had also multiplied his wealth. the richest man in modern history. By the time John D. Rockefeller retired, his fortune was almost impossible to comprehend. Adjusted for inflation, many historians estimate his wealth would exceed $400 billion today. That's more than most modern billionaires, more than many entire countries. At one point, Rockefeller's fortune represented nearly 2% of the entire US economy. No modern billionaire has ever come close to that level of economic power. His wealth became so massive that managing it required an entire network of advisors, lawyers, bankers, and family offices. The Rockefeller name evolved from a businessman into a dynasty, and dynasties rarely disappear. The Rockefeller influence. As the decades passed, the family expanded its influence far beyond oil. Rockefeller money flowed into universities, hospitals, foundations, scientific research, international organizations, politics. The family donated enormous sums to charitable causes. Institutions like the University of Chicago and Rockefeller University received significant support. The Rockefeller Foundation became one of the most powerful philanthropic organizations in the world. Supporters viewed these efforts as proof that the family was giving back to society. Critics saw something different. They argued that philanthropy also helped reshape the family's public image. The same family once criticized for monopolistic practices was now viewed as a force for progress and innovation. Whether intentional or not, the transformation was remarkable. The Rockefeller name became associated with prestige instead of controversy, but their influence never disappeared. It simply evolved. The family that helped shape America. Today, the Rockefeller family is no longer the richest family in the world, but their impact remains everywhere. The oil industry they helped build still powers the global economy. The institutions they funded continue shaping education, medicine, and research. And the business strategies pioneered by Standard Oil influence generations of corporations. Modern tech giants, media companies, and global corporations all operate in a world shaped by Rockefeller's blueprint: scale, control, expansion, dominance. The formula that built Standard Oil continues to appear again and again throughout modern business history. The dark truth. The Rockefeller story isn't a simple tale of good or evil. It's something far more complicated. John D. Rockefeller created extraordinary wealth. He revolutionized an industry. He built institutions that still exist today. But he also built one of the most powerful monopolies the world has ever seen. His empire crushed competitors, influenced politics, and concentrated enormous power into the hands of a single man. That's the dark truth about the Rockefeller family. Their fortune wasn't built through luck. It was built through relentless ambition, aggressive expansion, and a willingness to dominate an entire industry. More than a century later, the Rockefeller empire may be gone, but the world it helped create is still very much alive.